Today's collectible spot, we are having a look at the Asmus Collectibles Lord of the Rings Saruman 6-scale figure. Spot's been very excited to get back into the Lord of the Rings collectibles from the folks over at Asmus Toys or Asmus Toys. Today we're having a look at the Saruman, which continues on their tradition of releasing the Lord of the Rings figures. They've already released the Wraiths. Gandalf, I think, was also released as well. I'm glad that they're continuing the property line for it, because so far I've been pretty impressed with what they've been releasing for it. In the meantime, Saruman, package-wise, we have the front package featuring Saruman himself, which is, again, a sad passing of Christopher Lee as well, who portrayed Saruman as well as a multitude of other characters in movies, my personal favorite being his portrayal of Dracula. And of course he did Count Dooku as well. A very large box too. You probably can't even gauge it. There's the bottom of the box. There's the top of the box. There's a good sized box going on here. Of course the figure is going to be 6 scale, so there's going to be a lot of other stuff in there as well. The side of the box carries over to what the image was from the front, just kind of a slightly burned deco here, and we got Saruman on the side there as well. Finally, as for the back of the box, you've got a choking hazard. Small parts not for children under 5 years of age. Normally it's 3 years. It's recommended for ages 15 and up. www.asmus or Asmus Toys, A-S-M-U-S toys.com if you'd like to check out the other collectibles that they're producing. Spot's going to take himself a break. I'm going to get this guy completely out of box, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at Asmus Collectibles, the Lord of the Rings Saruman 6-scale figure. Here's more heading your way, guys. Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. So there's really a lot to cover here with Saruman. Best place we'll probably start with is the display stand first. Saruman gets himself a base, not quite a square base, be it the cut-off corners on the front, but on an almost square display base with Lord of the Rings on the top there. Just a very basic display stand with very basic adjustable neck on the back. I wish that they had given him a little bit more. I mean, displaying him, you could obviously he's going to be displayed with the altar as well. I kind of wish that the display stand was a little bit more interesting other than this, but that's okay. One of the other things he comes with too is a flooring. We got the Lord of the Rings 1/6 scale Saruman on the underside there. Just a simple flooring that you could get him displayed on. So I guess even though technically he doesn't come with the most complex display stands, at least he comes with, I guess, the flooring that you can display the figure on. We'll probably get these out of the way as well. They're not specific to Saruman, but he does come with a Build an Orc. I think this is Build an Orc Part 3, with basically Asmus Collectibles, every 6 scale figure that you get from the Lord of the Rings series, you get like a piece for an orc. And in this case, it looks like, I'm guessing, shin armor. That comes included with Saruman. It doesn't really serve a purpose for Saruman, but if you collect the Lord of the Rings line, you're going to be getting these as well. You can eventually build yourself an orc. And just before we have a look at Saruman, one other thing I wanted to look at too, or show you guys, was the altar of Saruman that comes included with the figure. This makes up for the weight of the box. The box itself was really heavy. Sure enough, it's the altar that's adding so much weight. The palantir or palantir gem or sphere we'll just put to the side for a second. Unfortunately, I don't have the batteries for it. There's an on and off switch on the underside. I think it takes an LR44 batteries. It takes 2 of those. Unfortunately, I thought I got the right batteries for it. Sadly, no. But this would turn on. It would light up. And it would light up. And hopefully the light can catch it. You can see, yeah, there we go. You can see how this theoretically would light up with the projection of the light on the underneath of the altar. So this is the palantir of Orthanc, which is basically like a seeing stone. Oh, there's a good view of it right there. I'm sure Spot has severely botched the name there. It's a seeing stone that Saruman uses during the course of the movie, and that would light up. But this is actually heavy. This is a lot heavier than I really was expecting it to be. But you can just kind of display that on top. Try not to drop the seeing stone. Just put that on top. And actually, we'll just move Saruman just off camera for the second. I'm gonna just take the flooring and we'll just put that right there. And you know, you can have it displayed like that. Then you can bring Saruman in, and you know, he can be next to the altar. It will take up a little bit more space on my display, but that's probably how I'm going to have the figure displayed. With that all being said, let's finally get a better look at the figure. Asmus, I think, definitely got a good likeness down for Christopher Lee, or really just Saruman. His hair is more dull hair. When you get it actually out of package, the hair is more so to the back, which gives you a better idea of the sculpt on the figure. But displaying him, I would bring the hair forward. I'll have to just kind of straighten it out a bit because it shouldn't be as curly as it is down at the bottom of the hair there. It really should be really, really straight. There's what it looks like on the back. Just also to give you an idea, if you move the hair out of the way, you can see how they've painted the back sculpt, back of the head area, just to kind of hide off some of the non-areas that aren't going to be covered or have the hair pegged in. I think it's a pretty successful looking sculpt, I have to admit. Sad though, it's so sad Spot has a looks at these figures after the actors have passed away. I mean, Christopher Lee to me was such... Growing up with him, I mean, I was big into the old Hammer horror movies, and I loved watching him as Dracula. Of course, many will remember him as Count Dooku from Star Wars, or also people will remember him probably, maybe best remember him as Saruman here from Lord of the Rings. Asmus, I think, has done a real service to the likeness, I think, of Christopher Lee. While the hair is more dull hair, the beard they've opted to sculpt. Smart move, really. I don't think they could have done... I don't think any company, for that matter, I think should ever get into the realm of real dull hair beards. I don't think that would ever translate well. You can't match a good sculpt and a good paint, which I have to admit they've done on both. And yet an even closer look at the figure's face. You can see all the little age marks and wrinkles, especially around the eyes, that they've added there. Very realistic, I must say. The neck, unfortunately, though, if you move the hair out of the way, it's using a standard body, so the skin color of the torso and neck area doesn't quite match the coloring of his face. All the more reason, though, you would want to have the hair as much forward as you possibly can. And I'm going to try my best to get that as straight as I possibly can. Figure from head to toe is sporting white. White robe with a longer white wizard's robe over top of that. I love the long pointed sleeves that they've given him. And I don't know, hopefully the camera can do it justice, but kind of put my finger in between the material. The material is printed as well. Hopefully, I don't know, hopefully the camera can pick that up. But it's a printed material with all these little kind of rosettes. Really nice, really stellar. They've stitched the outer seam of the sleeve. I would not likely display Saruman with his arms extended out like that, but just for the sake of this review, you can see it. And there's the back side of the figure, all the stitching that they've done on the back there too. The robe, I suppose, you could take off. I don't see a reason why you would want to really take it off personally, but on the underside, you would have a much longer robe. And maybe what I'll do is I'll just move it ever so slightly past the shoulder so you can see the different textures of pattern, not really textures, but the different patterns of fabric that they've used. The shoulder area, this kind of V area of the top torso, is similar to the robe that he wears. And then he's got a more cleaner, straight white fabric. And then his sleeves are different on top of that, where it's almost like a cross stitch or cross hatch of fabric. On the front here, he's got two little snap closures. They don't actually open or close. But what's nice though is that Asmus have also given you these extra clips. Let's just say for the somehow you're moving it, these clips accidentally or these little accents pop off. They do give you extras. They also give you a couple of extra pegs for the hands. Speaking of the hands, let's just move his hand out. I wanted to show you too. I like how they've given an age to his hands. He's also got long fingernails. This man needs to get a manicure done. He's got these long, very, very skeletal, skinny fingers, then tipped off with the longer fingernails on the end. He does come with a couple of interchangeable hands, so currently he is sporting 2, but he does also come with a grasping hand. He comes with a couple of open palms, ideal for, you know, if he's battling it out with Gandalf. He gets a couple of different those. He gets actually 3 of those, and then he's got a more suited hand for holding his staff. Ideal segue then to the staff that also comes included with the figure. A very long staff. Will most definitely have him displayed with the staff in hand, and of course for that, the hand itself that he currently is holding is not really the best fit for the staff because, I mean, it sits really on the loose side. So you want to just swivel, just kind of pull the hand off the peg. Then find a hand that you think is best suited for holding the staff. I'm going to assume it's this one right here. Pop that on. And then, very carefully, you don't want to bend the staff at all. Or wand, or... There we go. And you can get Gandalf, not Gandalf, you can get Saruman here to display with the staff in hand. Certainly a very impressive sight to have Saruman here with his staff in hand. I've kind of just extended out the hand there, preparing himself to be battling off against Gandalf. And I guess you really don't need the display stand. He seems to do a fair enough job on his own of standing straight up. Of course, for the accommodation of getting him in the display cabinet, you might maybe want to omit the altar, but it really just adds to the overall impressiveness of this particular figure. So then, essentially, this is what it's going to look like with the flooring, the altar, Saruman, of course, and his staff in hand. For Saruman's articulation, it is the following. He does have a ball joint in that base or the socket that attaches itself to the head. He's got a range of motion there. He doesn't have a secondary hinge from what I can see in the base of the neck, although this whole neck area and torso is more of a soft rubbery, especially like up at the neck area there. Moving his arms out, not an issue at all, especially the robe does not hinder that at all. Although I will say, when you start moving the arms, you might want to just gauge, kind of give a kind of impression feel as to where that joint's going to reside. You don't, the last thing you want to start doing is bending arms when the joint is maybe over here and you're putting a lot of pressure on it. As an upper torso crunch, he actually, funny enough, has abs underneath that. All the more reason you would want to have him wearing the robe. Legs, lots of motion there, no issues whatsoever there. A top swivel cut thigh, a long extension in the knee. It almost feels like a single hinge knee. In fact, let's bring the robe up there. He's also got his long boots there as well, which they are harder plastic, so you can't get as much motion in the feet, at least from a bend, but you can rotate them at the feet. He is definitely a posable figure, matched well with the super detail on his likeness. Saruman really turned out to be an impressive figure. This is actually only Spot's second pickup from Asmus Toys for the Lord of the Rings property, but I definitely will be going back and getting more of these. I want to get my hands on certainly a Ring Wraith, and I'd like to get my hands on a Gandalf. Hopefully, Asmus also continues to release these figures. So far, I'm impressed with what I see. I'd love to see what they have in store for us in the near future. Today's collectible Spot was having a look at the Asmus Collectibles, or Asmus Collectibles, The Lord of the Rings. We are looking today at the Saruman 6 scale figure. Stay tuned, guys. Spot's going to have more collectible spots heading your way. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.